It's so interesting because as a person from a marginalized community, child of immigrants myself, family from Jamaica, queer Black woman living inside of the United States, I still, as I was watching Representative Tlaib give her statement on the House floor, think to myself what it must be like to stand up in front of people who are wishing you and your community death.
Mm.
To stand there with tears in her eyes, pleading for the humanity and calling, right, for the world, for her colleagues to see Palestinians as people worthy of life, children worthy of a future, and to be alone, right? And to have not only every Republican, which of course, because she's brown and a woman and has power, of course they're going to come for her. They've been, right? But to have 22 colleagues, 22 Democrats decide to side with this white supremacist party and not understand the difference between what she has been saying and what they have continually been saying over the last 8 to 10 years is obscene. And what I said when I saw Joy Reid post it on her Instagram, and I said, roll me the 22 names. Name all the fucking names, right? It's public record. Every single one of those motherfuckers are up for re-election. And I'm saying, this is not, you don't deserve to have a D next to your name. You don't deserve to hold office. You threw this woman who is watching her community, her people be massacred and it be using our tax dollars to do it. Try and speak out to call for humanity, to call for a ceasefire. And all of the people that you named, Waj, are able to walk in an Israeli military uniform.
Oh, yeah, that's Brian Mast.
And say,
that's right.
Brian Mast said that on the House floor. Are you fucking kidding me?
I forgot that.
Right?
Yeah, that was before Halloween he cosplayed.
So what I'm saying is that the double standard, the way in which we have to police our emotions, the energy that we have to use in order to articulate ourselves in a way that is both with a sense of purpose and passion, but not too much.
No.
But not too much. Because God forbid, if you had come at that woman on Pierce's show the way that she came at you, trust and believe white tears would have just flowed like a river.
But it was amazing. You do realize, I don't know if you saw that clip again, she accuses me of slandering her after she spent the first 3 minutes literally slandering me. She literally made herself out to be the victim. And if you look at that clip, I'm speaking at a rushed clip because I know I don't have time. I wasn't given time. She literally interrupted me while I was speaking. So people like us also have to be efficient and effective because I don't have the privilege of just sitting there and talking and taking my time and not being interrupted. Because Glenn had his 2 pieces. He wasn't interrupted. This lady interrupted me nonstop. So I'm very self-critical. I'm hard on myself, but I just want people to know, like, you got to get your point out. You got to be cool. You got to be calm. You got to do it in a third amount of the time, and you have to be effective in order to get ahead and just be equal. And that clip kind of personifies it. What's happening to Rashida Tlaib is she has to be so careful with every public statement because the default is that her and Ilhan Omar are terrorists. Why? Because they're Muslim. They're the 2 of the 4 women, women of color, there was also 5 women, Cori Bush, whom Donald Trump, remember, said, go back to where you came from. Humiliated nonstop. Meanwhile, this mother African cosplay, we've forgotten by it. Zinke introduced that racist bill, we've forgotten about it. Lindsey Graham used genocidal language. Not just did he use genocidal language, he made it into a religious war. And another thing I want to remind people what Lindsey Graham said, he said, I don't care about the civilian count. They said, how many dead is enough? He goes, I don't care. So for him, it's like pure genocide. And we've moved on. And we sit there and we move on. And my fear is Democrats. Well, this is the thing. We celebrate because Democrats had big wins yesterday. But my concern is we could roll through the wins. My concern is, and I was talking to a bunch of folks of color here in Virginia where we had a bunch of wins. Democrats might take the wrong lesson and be like, oh, we still won. Abortion, that's a galvanizing issue. Republicans are extreme. F these darkies. F the Muslims. F the Arabs. F it. We'll go all in on the war in Gaza. And that's kind of my concern, Danielle, that they looked at yesterday and said, oh, we got the multicultural coalition. They'll come around. And some insiders are saying, don't worry about the polls about Biden right now or what's happening in the past month. They'll come around. Your take. I might be wrong.
And so here's my take. One, I do believe that Democrats' wins yesterday in several states were huge and were a bellwether and a signal that Republicans continue to overstep their bounds, right? What we do have to recognize, though, is that you know who was not on the campaign trail? Joe Biden.
That's right.
Joe Biden was not, arm in arm with Bashir in Kentucky. He was not going on, the stump in Virginia and in Ohio. Biden was ghost this election season. Why? Because as much as I don't want to hold faith in the polls, no one wants to be associated with a loser.
That's right.
And right now he is losing. So I disagree to the point that Democrats are going to rest on their laurels in any type of way with regard to these wins, because everything is pointing to the contrary, that it is people being galvanized because we have essentially lost faith in our federal politics to get any fucking thing done. So we have to make sure now what Republicans have always known, that who's running your state and your city council and your local, those are the people that matter, right? And so I think that the more and more that our Congress shows itself to be ineffectual, right? And Biden continues to tank in the polls, that people's attention has gone to, well, what can I do outside my front door?
Yeah.
Right? So I think to that respect is why we saw the wins that we saw this week. I also think that Biden can't afford a misstep anywhere. And this war in Israel is not a winning fucking message.
No.
They shut down the Statue of Jewish Voices for Peace, shut down the Statue of Liberty this week in New York. They have shut down Grand Central Station.
Yeah.
You had hundreds of thousands of people march in your neighborhood in Washington, D.C., right? You are seeing those marches build in this country and around the globe. So being able to think to yourself, well, they'll forget about it. You can't, because every picture, every video shows us dead children.
Right? I agree with you. I feel like it's one of those situations where, and I think you articulated it really well, right? Andy Bashir wins governor of Kentucky and Ohio. Abortion, the abortion ban failed miserably. These are two red states, right? The fact that Virginia, it flipped. So now Democrats have the House and the Senate. Glenn Youngkin, fascism in a fleece, tanked, which is going to be really bad for Republicans because he was the moderate, nice Trump. Well, Trump is the head of the GOP. And Mike Johnson, the right-wing Christian nationalist who is the new House Speaker, whom we talked about last week, he's all against women's rights. He's all against gay people. The more and more that's coming out about him, man, that guy is...
Oh, my God.
The porn stuff, he apparently audits his son's porn and his son watches his porn. I'm not making this up, folks. So you hear that story? They audit each other's porns.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I've talked about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the guy who's now the leader of the House. So in a strange way, I look at these polls. I don't completely dismiss them, Danielle, because what they show me is that just like in 2020, people forget. It's not that like people were excited about Biden. Why did people come out for Biden? Why did people of color in Virginia, where I'm at right now, at the last second, they were undecided? What changed the tide? Bernie or Biden? Bernie or Biden? This was the calculus. which white dude is going to beat Trump? Which white dude would other whites vote for? So then we saw what was happening in South Carolina. We're like, oh, Biden seems to have the momentum. Black people are going for Biden. And so guess what happened? Literally in the final 2 days leading up to the Virginia primary, a bunch of us came out, tidal wave for Biden. Not because we were excited for him, because like this dude will beat Trump. And so that's what we're witnessing right now, is that all these folks are so horrified by the right-wing extremism, and I think we could call it an extremist fascist movement, that is the GOP, that they're like, okay, we don't want this, so we're going to go Democrat. But if it's between 81-year-old Biden and 77 Trump, I'm not excited about Biden. The big gamble, Danielle, is, and in a year from now, like you said, he can't afford any missteps, will enough people say Biden or bust, or will enough people say, I'm done with Biden, give me anybody else? Which is why I hope Democrats who are listening, don't rest on your laurels. Don't just rest on people saying, GOP is so extreme, we'll come out for Biden. Biden and Dems still have to earn our vote.